Welcome back to the channel, guys. First off, subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't already. All my social medias can be found in the comment section of this video. That's my Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and my Twitter. I have left a PayPal link in the comment section and the live chat of this video. I'm not asking you to donate, but a lot of people have came to me and says they want to donate. I haven't put a super chat in the comment section and the live chat because YouTube takes a lot of that money, and anybody that wants to donate money to this channel, I would rather it go to me than go to YouTube, because at the end of the day, I appreciate all my viewers and I appreciate everybody that comes to this channel. Now, the guy Tony Meehan that I'll be interviewing today, the bare knuckle boxer, his channel can be found in the comment section of this video too. So please go over and subscribe and ring the bell to his channel, and you can watch all his fights on his channel. I mean, this guy is a scrapper, guys, and throughout this interview it was an absolute joy to do. Sort of gives you the insight to what goes through a fighter's mind, and for me it's crazy. They're all different, they've all got a different way of training, they've all got a different way that they live their life, but there's one common denominator: they all love to fight. So let's smash the like button and let's help this video rise up through the algorithms. Leave a comment in the comment section and tell me what you think of this interview. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Peace and enjoy. Tony Meehan, what is the crack, sir? Hope you're keeping well. You're an interesting character, mate. So I've recently seen you on Instagram and YouTube, and your fights look absolutely brutal. In the hay bales, in the street, with hundreds of people around you. We're going to get to that. But the first thing I want to know is a bit about yourself. I want to know where you come from, a bit about yourself, why you fight. So we'll start off, whereabouts do you come from, and tell us about your sort of early life.
Well, I come from a town called Doncaster, place called Cantley inside there. Not much really, I'm just growing up. I mean, when I say I've got no combat history, I class myself as having no combat history. But obviously on my back wall here, I've got medals from like, say, like 5 to 10 year old. My dad made me do kickboxing and that, you know, just because my big brother did it. So I always went along with him, and I've got a few medals from. I wasn't very good, like, but I did little tournaments and that. But obviously it grew out of me and lost it all and stuff like that. And so obviously as I was growing up, I classed myself as not being a fighter, not having no experience, because obviously I started growing up to hate fighting. You know what I mean? I avoided it at all costs. But yeah, little town called Doncaster. Grew up little cheeky chappy as always out exploring. Always loved to get in trouble as always. But yeah, but never really liked fighting. That was one thing I always tried to avoid. But yeah.
So from a young age, you talk about the kickboxing there, but you're saying from a young age up till your 20s, you didn't really like fighting, but you did do you say there you done kickboxing?
Yes.
Kickboxing. So that's a bit of a lethal sport. And what age did you start that at?
Good question. That's what I mean. From like 5 to 10 year old. That's, you know, within that time. In fact, 1 second. I've got the medals here, but let's look how old it is. That's how old it is. Look at the state.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Second Open Championships, 15th of the 7th, 95. 1995. That'd have been 6 years. So that's crazy.
So even though you say you don't like fighting and you say that, you know, it didn't really interest you, from a young age you were doing it. So as you know yourself, when you're doing something at a young age, kids sort of absorb stuff a lot faster than what an adult would. Do you think that sort of set you up then for you always had it in you? You always had that tool to go back to, that if you ever needed to, you could go back to the kickboxing. You always knew how to scrap.
Do you know what? I'm glad you've just said that, because every time I spoke to people about this, or how I've got into BKB, which were only 3 years ago when I was 30 years old, I never had an actual reason why. Do you know what I mean? I could never tell them why I started it. Obviously, why I started it was watching a video on my phone, of me mate fighting in a Spartan, at the Spartan pit. But it was just something inside of me that made me want to do it. But I hated fighting that much. I can't believe myself that I've put myself into it and started. So with you just saying that there, it's like, it's, you know what I mean? That could be something, do you know what I mean? Like, it's been inside me all along and I've never known it. So that's probably what's made it come out of me. Yeah, you're right.
Well, the thing, they say the most lethal people on the planet are the people that don't want to fight, but do fight. So you've got a lot of people out there that, as you know, the sort of current state of YouTube where you have a lot of people saying, I'll have a straightener, I'll do this, I'm going to do that. And then nothing happens. There's only a select few people that actually will show up for a fight. And that's not a dig at people. It's just, it's in our nature to either fight or flight. So there's a very select few people that actually fight. But what I'm trying to say is like, it's in you, but you don't want to fight. So that maybe in a certain sense, that makes you a little bit more dangerous because you know maybe what you're capable of in that sense. But the stick at your early, so Doncaster, has Doncaster got a big fighting scene? Has it got a, what is it like to live in Doncaster?
Well, it has, to be fair. I mean, it's got its good set of boxers. We've got a good few boxers over here who's representing Doncaster, but I've never really been a fight fan, you know. And I'm still, sounds daft to say, but I'm still not now. Like, I'd watch the odd, say, like Sean Jones, like the odd fighters that I know a few fighters, Tyler Goodjohn and all that. Even the fighters in my promotion, the odd few, I like to watch them, but like I'm not really a fan. I don't sit and watch a full show and stuff like that and watch all the fights. I only like to watch fights that people I like, which is, you know what I mean, like odd few people out of each promotion. So I've not really been a fight fan in that sense.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, it's strange that you say that. Well, actually, it's not strange because it's a common thing. A lot of fighters from all different disciplines will say, when I'm speaking to them, they'll say like, well, we actually don't watch a lot of fighting because we just we prefer to fight than actually watch fights. When we watch fights, it actually makes us want to fight. Do you know what I mean? So it's a common thing with fighters. So from kickboxing, from an early age, did you have many tournaments? Did you win many tournaments? Were you using that kickboxing on the street? Did you get into many fights? How was your early life with the kickboxing and school and things like that? Was it rough for you? Was it easy for you?
No, school were as good as I made it, basically. I never had no trouble like that. Never really caused trouble in that sense with fighting and, you know, picking on people, stuff like that. I always caused trouble in other ways. But yeah, growing up was sound in school for me, and the kickboxing, it's like I say, it was my brother that was more dedicated to it, my older brother. So my dad used to take my older brother, and then I used to go along. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, it's that long ago, I don't know if I was made to go, if I wanted to go or what. And with you just asking then about, like, I've got 2 medals here with tournaments on, 4th Open Championships, 96. But we'll have to do a part 2 because I don't have the information for you, and I want to know the information myself. My dad, it will be the best person to ask about everything I've done in kickboxing. I've even got belts. You know the belts? Like you have white, yellow, red. You know what I mean? Blue, brown, like with Taekwondo.
So you actually fought? Was there a sort of promotion back in the day for that?
Do you know what? Yeah. Obviously there is, and I couldn't even tell you the name. That's enough. I'm going to ask my dad after this. We've had this. I'm going to ring my dad. I'm going to get all information because, like I say, I don't know it. But I've got, yeah. It used to be for a local. It was quite local to me, quite close. But yeah, I can remember doing a few tournaments. I mean, I wasn't the best. That's what I'm saying. I can even remember crying in one of them because I got kicked in the face. You know what I mean? That's how young I was.
It takes a man to admit that, though. That's the thing. We're living in an era where, you know, men don't want to admit that sometimes things hurt. When you're in a fight with another person and you get kicked in the face, there's a good chance that you might cry. It's not because you can't help it. It just happens. It doesn't make you any less of a man. Being kicked in the face as a kid, do you know what I mean? We're frowned upon that. But at the end of the day, pain is pain and people react differently. It doesn't make us any less of a human being. It's just crazy, though, that I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but you don't rate yourself. But when I see you fight, as I say on the videos, it's brutal. You can see that you're in it, you love what you're doing, but you don't have, maybe you are a self-confident person, but how you sort of project yourself to me is that you don't really care about it. You're just like, yeah, I don't even know why I do it. It's just, You know, I just do it for the crack, and I don't really rate myself. I'll say this now: watching your fights, they are brutal. They're brutal fights. You can see that. There's not too many men that would do what you do.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to use your kickboxing in the street? Did you get into many fights as you sort of progressed into your teens?
No, that's what I'm saying. I avoided it at all costs, and probably even ran away from fights when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? That's how much I avoided them. So if anything ever come to where I have a fight, I'd probably run off or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but like I say, I cannot really remember any fights growing up. I can remember one from, I think it was either year 7 or year 9. So we were in lower school with this ginger lad. I had one fight, and that's in the playground. It must have lasted 5 minutes, not even that. So, and that's how much I don't fight. That's, you know what I mean? That's the only fight I can really remember. And then just the odd one in town. Obviously, when you're drinking, you know what I mean? You don't really class it as a fight, do you? It's just a stupid moment. But that's how much I don't fight or avoided it, because I can't really remember any.
Another good thing you've said there, you've ran away from fights. People like the most famous guy that I can think of that's actually talked about this is, I don't know if you watch him, Jocko Willick. Do you know Jocko?
Yeah, no.
He's an ex Navy SEAL guy, and he's a black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and he's a killer. So he went through the whole bud training, and you think a guy like that there, you want to see the size of the guy's forearms. They're massive. He's just like walking testosterone. And he says, well, they says to him, what's the best way to win a fight? He says, run. He says, run. The only time you should ever fight with anybody on the street is when they've got you cornered, or they've got their hands on you. Other than that, if you can run away, what does it matter if what people think of you? At least somebody's not dead. Do you know what I mean? And it made sense. Get away from a fight. Anybody that wants to fight like that in the street with, you know, with just average people, especially having a skill set like yourself, somebody could get hurt. You could kill somebody. You could really damage somebody and affect them for the rest of their life. So it's good to hear that from a person with a skill set like yourself that sort of promotes just get out of there. There's no point. Just walk away from the fights. It's literally pointless.
Yeah.
So then, with that mindset growing up, right, and you're into your 20s. In your 20s, do you have that itch that you want to fight?
No. Well, obviously, not that I can remember. Clearly not really, because I'd have done it. Like, I used to, before I think about 17 or something, when I passed my driving test, I can remember, because I used to smoke weed a lot back then, and I can remember trying to revise for my driving test, and I couldn't ever concentrate. You know, we were working there, and I wasn't ever bothered about doing the revision. Do you know what I mean? It was never interested me, and I couldn't do it. Bring me sent to do it. So I said, right, stop this. I started going to a boxing gym, which is next village from me. It's like 20 minutes run, jogging. So I used to jog there, just do it. It was only for fitness. This were not to learn fighting. This were not to learn boxing. This were just fitness and, you know, like, keeping myself doing something. And I used to jog there and back all the time, and it proper cleared my head. And then I ended up passing, start doing my revisions and that every day for my driving test, and then I ended up passing it first time. And that's all I can remember of it. It was boxing that got my head cleared, all the fitness side of it. It like put me on a good road, really, like, and then I ended up passing my theory for it.
But that's good too, because, you know, there's this thing that we'll have. I'm not saying this works for everybody, but I can say it works for me, and it obviously works for you. But a lot of people suffer from depression. There's a lot of depression and sort of anxiety today. Now, if I go through a long period of time where I don't work out, even if it's kettlebells, hitting the bag, push-ups, going to the gym, anything, if I don't do that for 2 or 3 days, I start to get depressed, and things that are easy to do in life, they're not as easy to do. So there is, you know, there's a physical goal that all humans need to sort of to feel good about themselves. You know, it's just in us, men and women, to just have that physical goal met. Do you think that in your 20s and doing the boxing, that met a physical goal in your life that sort of made the hard things in life a little bit easier?
Yeah, it definitely did. Like I say, I noticed the change. Do you know what I'm saying? And it actually, literally, I felt a better person after it. Do you know what I'm saying? After the training and that, and Yeah, it's just, and obviously the jogging there and back. It's obviously because I never used to do anything. I've always been an active kid. I've always been an active person. I mean, I can't stand still for less than 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So I'm always doing something, moving about, doing something active constantly. So I've always been like fully energetic and that. But yeah, when I went to boxing and that, just for the fitness, it actually helped. Do you know what I'm saying? So.
That's excellent. And just to actually touch on something else here, your job, you actually provide a really good service to the community. You do you remove asbestos. You just told me that prior, just
Yeah.
backstage there. That's actually a pretty hard job, man. And I actually want to just talk about that because asbestos has killed so many people throughout, England, Ireland, and around the world. My grandfather, that he died of cancer in the lung, and it was directly to do with asbestos.
Yeah.
How dangerous is that job? Like, are you afraid of maybe getting breathe and heal in that yourself?
I was at first when I first did my 2-day course, and they make you watch videos like they do every 6 months, every year now for us. We have to watch the same video of how it gets in you and how it kills you and how easy it is to breathe it in and all this, like especially when you're working with it inside areas and stuff. But yeah, it did. But then as I've worked it and like settled in the job and loved the job and just learned the job, yeah, it's not even bother me. It's like smoking, mate. Smoking kills you. Everyone, do you know what I mean? It don't kill everybody. It's luck at drawing it. Same with anything.
Asbestos is a wee bit different though, because it actually has a very high rate of death. It's like people smoke. Yes, I know smoking kills a lot of people, but I mean, asbestos is actually directly linked to causing cancer in the lung faster than smoking, I believe, isn't it?
Of course, 100%, yeah. And if you're a smoker, you've got 50% chance more of catching it, like breathing it in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It adds a 50% on.
Do you smoke?
Yeah.
Cigarettes?
Well, no, just the vapor.
Oh, the vape. Yeah, I smoke the vape too. Like, so I want to talk about something here. I want to talk about your training routine, right? Because it interests me. I speak to a lot of different fighters, and some people, when they do their strength and conditioning, some of them just do kettlebells, some of them just do body weight, some people do the generic weightlifting. So when you're coming up to a fight, what is your sort of routine from strength and conditioning, your diet, your sort of day-to-day living up until that fight?
Well, I'm going to sound very unprofessional here to you, and probably to everybody, but I'll be honest with you. I don't do no conditioning. I don't have no strict diets. Basically, all I do is keep myself fit. I do my jogs. My main key things for friends is the name, basically. Unless I've got like a massive opponent or something like that, you just change your little things up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, everything stays the same. I always go out, do my jogs. I've got a punch. My punch bag there. My ankle ball there, and just a weight bench, and just some dumbbells. That is it. That's all I use. I mean, look at that. I've got them fitness ladder things there, like you put on the floor and you do your footwork in. I don't even use them. I have done, but it's not something I've dedicated to myself to use. My just key things are keeping fit, hitting a punch bag, and I know it doesn't hit back, but hitting a punch bag and just doing my weights.
So sparring, then you don't do any sparring?
No.
Wow.
I know. I get slated for it all the time. Like I say, obviously I'm not the best fighter, and I know it. I don't fight the best. You know what I mean? Like technical wise, and I know that's probably the main reason why, because I don't do any sparring. But yeah, I've never sparred, and yeah, I haven't done to date. But I am going to try and get some in. To be fair, I am.
Well, the science behind that is they say that the people that don't do heavy sparring, especially when you're in your 30s, some of them, if you already know how to fight, right? So a lot of people that do the sparring, just say you get the wrong sparring partner, they could chin you, they could knock you out, it can sort of debilitate you going into a fight. But you have to find the right sort of sparring partners that are going to just go hard enough to push you, but light enough that they're not going to hurt you going into a fight.
Yeah.
But it is what I'm sort of grasping from this is you've got into fighting sort of later on in your life, which actually maybe helped you a little bit because you've went in fresh Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what age? You're 33 now. A lot of guys at 33 can be punch drunk.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So,
but that's a good, because like they've been training all their life, and they've got the tools, they've got everything they need for it. Like I'm just like me, I am. It's like me starting from now, innit? I'm the new kid in the gym. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas people, I can go into a gym now, and people will be 30-odd year old there has been doing it since they were 14-year-old. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, a good thing.
Yeah, well, you know, there was a person that was supposed to be co-hosting today, Jonathan Ronan Royale. I'll actually leave his podcasts in the comment section of this video. Go and check that out. He's sort of the same. He's sort of like a 12 to 15 year veteran in the fight game. Absolute killer. An absolute killer of a guy. Great guy. He couldn't co-host because of the time frame, you know, his the training that he does and stuff and his work. But regardless, he will be co-hosting with me on future podcasts with different fighters. But his whole, he lives to train. It's not even about fighting for him. It's the lifestyle. It's like he literally lives like Bruce Lee. Do you know what I mean? From he wakes up until he goes to sleep. But then there's other people that are different, like yourself, who, not that they don't take it as serious, but their mind's occupied with other things, and it sort of helps you at the same time because you're not just solely focused, and you haven't got all your eggs in one basket. So at the end of the day, you know, you're going to go out, you're going to have fun. And what I will say is the hay bales. Now, we're going to get into the hay bales because this is some fucked up shit that I've ever seen. I seen a video of you, right, with those workman sort of barriers, hay bales round, hundreds of people around you, right? And you're just swinging at some guy. And not to go bad at him here, but he came in at you. And then it was just all out sort of annihilation. When was the first time you had a fight like that?
Well, my first fight, like my first ever Spartan fight, May 25th of May 2019, when I won that belt there, first ever fight. That's as weird as it sounds, but yeah, that was the first ever go. That's what's kept me after I did that fight. That's what, like, thought, fucking hell, I do love this. Do you know what I mean? That's why I've stuck ever since. But yeah, May 25th 2019 was the first time I had a proper swing fest like that, and a scrap or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's the first time.
How many fights have you had?
I'm 4-2, so 6.
So 6 fights. Well, that's pretty good. And that setup with the sort of the workman sort of barriers and the hay bales, is that the Spartan fights?
Yes, but the reason why that looks like it does is because it was middle of a pandemic, and I mean not just a normal pandemic. I mean the lockdown, actually, when you're not allowed on the streets, kind of thing. And we was in the middle of Manchester, outside Strangeways Prison. Strangeways Prison, yeah. And the police actually we're in a car park. That's what it was, a car park. A piece of AstroTurf on floor, just a square piece of AstroTurf. Then we put hay bales around the edges of that, which you can see on the video, and then around the hay bales you put them yellow barriers. And that's all it was to stop. And then everyone just crowded round, obviously, as you can imagine, pushing all in. So it was just getting smaller and smaller. And then we're at Miller, a big car park. And when you look around you for miles, all it is multi-story buildings, from Manchester City town centre. So that everyone could see us from miles away. Police ended up coming. And off the road from the car park, what we were fighting in, is a traveller site. It's all Paddy Dockett is all gypsy site. Do you know what I mean? What they used to live on. I don't know whose site it is now, or if it were even live. In fact, it was live because a few of the travellers come over. They were shouting us. You know what I mean? So police ended up coming, and when everyone seen up police, everyone ran off and that. But then everyone started coming back because my promoter was speaking to the policeman, and the police said, everyone's gonna have to go. There were police vans and everything ready to pop a ship us off. He said, if you get rid of us from this car park, he said, we're going to go in the road and do it. That's what he said to the police officer. And then he said, right, you've got 45 minutes. You know what I mean? And then we're going to have to ring for more backup, and then you're going to have to go. So we're just...
Fair play to the cops, like.
Yeah, I've got a picture of my old promoter fisting the police officers leant over the fence, what we've barriered off, and he's like fisting him, you know, as if to say cheers. So my promoter's like that, and then the policeman's like, and yeah, he said 45 minutes, and then he said, I'm bringing all vans to come and clear you away. So we just like went, go, go, go. So that's why it was so roughed and ready and as rough as it was.
What would the normal setting be for those Spartan fights?
Normal setting would be in the summer. If it's outdoor, it'd have been a big circus tent, which is how I preferred it because it's how it started. A big circus tent, and just your 4 big massive hay bales in the middle. You know what I mean, corner to corner, which made 8x8, I do believe, give or take. I think it was smaller, to be fair, because by the time you'd pushed it all in, it made about 8x8. So yeah, just that. Just
well, take us through your first fight then. Your first fight. You've never had a fight like this before. Yes, you've done kickboxing when you were younger. What's it like going into a setting like that? Hay bales. This is your first fight. How does that go? Can you explain to the audience like your feeling going in the fight? How did that go for you?
Well, everybody thought I was crazy, and I mean everybody, from my mates to my family to people that hardly that know of people that know of me. Everyone just thought I was crazy. That I was just going to lose and just I shouldn't be doing it and all. And I've got messages on my phone. I'll send you it all after this about people saying, I had my mates ringing the promoter saying, don't let Tony fight, he'll get hurt and stuff like this behind my back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and with that story I've just told you, I've actually got another message off that same guy like a year or 2 later saying, how wrong was I when I messaged Christian? Look at you now. Do you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. Doing well and that. But yeah, going into the first fight, it was all excitement for me. From the second I put my name down to just all up to it. I mean, I got nervous, don't get me wrong, but I had a lot of confidence in me then, and I don't know why. But yeah, it was just more excitement for me that I've put myself in this. I mean, all I did was, as soon as I did that, I bought a 30-kilogram punch bag from Argos, you know, the cheapest, quickest punch bag you can find. Put that up in my garage with my weight bench, and that's all I used. A little tiny bag and a little tiny bench with some weights and a few jogs around streets, and that was my preparation.
Was your opponent sparring for that fight? Was your opponent like did you win that fight?
I won that fight, and it's my mate who I fought, and my mate who I fought is a good boxer. He's a very good boxer, and he was the reason why I started Spartan was because Spartan started in January 2019. They started in a sandpit. Just a sandpit on floor with 4 street cones and some barrier tape. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was massive. It was bigger than 8x8. So I was at work one day, looking at my phone, watching videos of my mate fighting it in this thing. And they called it Spartan Wars 1. So I was like watching, and I was thinking, I love this. I want to do this. I could do this. I could do better or whatever I was thinking. So that's what made me do it. So I put my name down in February 2019. And then, yeah, 3 months later, I had a fight. Well, I had a fight in March, he said, basically. So, yeah, and then I ended up being matched with another lad from another village near me that I didn't know. So, yeah, right up to the fight, say like 3 weeks before the fight in May, I got a message off my promoter saying, this Kurt Dunstan, he'd won the first 2 Spartans, the first 2 lads he'd won. So he was 2-0, and he's a good boxer. He was fighting for that belt. That was going to be his belt, fighting this other kid. And I was going to be on the undercard. So 2 weeks before the fight, I got a phone call saying, this lad's pulled out of fighting Kurt for a world title. Do you want to fight for it? And I just said, yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? You don't turn it down. So, yeah, I ended up fighting for it. And then, yeah, obviously it wasn't the best of looking fights. It were a bit scrappy, but he didn't want it. He didn't think I was going to put it on him like I did. Do you know what I'm saying? And yeah,
so you went in there sort of as the guy he was going to beat, and when you went in, okay, as you said, maybe it wasn't the most technical of fights, but whenever did you land on him? Did you make a statement at the beginning to say, I'm not going to take this, I'm not a walkover?
Well, all leading up to the fight, I was a definite underdog. Do you know what I mean? It was like a back and forth. He was proper taking piss at me by saying, I hope you're going for another jog today. It'll help you win this fight. And then he was like putting on my wall and that. I mean, we're mates. It was serious, but it was banter at the same time. Mm-hmm. He was like, I really think you're going to win this fight, or you're just doing it for a chance. Do you know what I mean? blah blah blah. So I was proper slated for it all up to the fight. And yeah, I ended up going in. I mean, it was a bit scrappy, do you know what I'm saying? And I think what he didn't realise was I had so much energy and I was onto him like a rabid dog, do you know what I'm saying? I wasn't connecting, I wasn't doing nice shots and connecting and hitting him. I was just scrapping in there, you know, like coming into him. I think I was just too much for him.
And what size is the hay bales? What sort of distance do you have to work with?
It's 8 by 8.
Wow.
8 foot by.
But sure, even that there alone, so like you could have the most technical boxer. You could put Floyd Mayweather in there, right? And he's going to have trouble because the guy who's more sort of pressing forward more is going to be the more, like, you're more aggressive basically, and the more aggressive you are, the better it's going to be, because 8 by 8, that's absolutely crazy. There's no room to breathe. You're fighting essentially in a phone box. Do you know what I mean? Like toe to toe. That's madness. And how did the fight end? Was it knockout or was it?
It quit. It just went like that and just like walked out.
Both of you busted up?
Not really. I had a cut on my head, a big cut on my head here. But yeah, I don't, like I say, it wasn't really a connective fight. Do you know what I'm saying? It was just scrappy and it was a mess basically. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to deny it. It's on YouTube. I mean, you can watch it. I mean, that's how experienced I was. Unexperienced, should I say? I was going in with my head down, fully down. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what I'll do is I'll leave all of Tony's fights in the comment section, put them into a wee playlist, and I'll leave them in the comment section of this video. I think you've got them all on your YouTube, and the link for Tony's channel will be in the comment section also. So make sure you go over and subscribe and ring the bell to that channel. Great content, excellent channel, and go and watch those fights to sort of get an idea of what Tony's talking about. So then, did you progress with that fight? Was that your sort of like your foot's through the door now? You've had this fight. How did the next couple of fights go then? Did you get better?
I'll say no, but yeah, if you know what I'm saying. Like I'll be honest with you now. I've not had one fight yet that I'm proud of. If I'm honest, like I don't like watching any of my fights because it's not that good to watch. You know what I'm saying? From what I see, anyway. Obviously,
mate, they're absolutely fantastic to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched one, and I would rather watch that. Now, listen. I sort of do like really good boxing fights. I love good MMA fights, but there's nothing like seeing that type of setting and two guys scrapping it out. It's like professional straighteners. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, now obviously you don't want to talk about. We're not going to ask you about your finances and stuff, but is it worth your while doing these fights financial wise?
No, mate. In a way, I don't make out from it. By the way, if that's what you're saying, or I don't get any financial gain from it in anything at all. I mean, when I first started, I had a few sponsors, blah, 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 giving me a few drinks, blah, blah, you know what I mean? Bits and bobs, I used to get free stuff. But no, and my first ever few shows, I used to buy my own tickets. Do you know what I'm saying? And I used to go on my own, never took my first ever fight. I went on my own. I had my corner man there. My little brother come from his, but I actually turned up on my own. And I classed it as like not taking a crowd, because I didn't take anyone. I bought my own tickets, you know what I'm saying? Just so I could fight.
So you bought a ticket to fight?
I bought my own tickets to fight. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I was supposed to sell 20 tickets, and I only sold a few, say like 2 or 3 or something. So I bought a few myself, so it looked like I'd sold some, so I could fight still.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, I really hope that promotion takes off, because that is something to be, you know, that's like a diamond that you have all these fights. Listen, there was a guy, I forget his name. He's a Muay Thai fighter, and he was saying he was watching MMA, he's watching the UFC, and he says, how can anybody watch this? They just listen. I love ground game work. Done a bit of jiu-jitsu myself, but it doesn't put bums in seats. But I could see a promotion like that. I know we're going to talk about the BKB thing now, but a promotion like that, the hay bales, the tents, that is what people want to watch, in my opinion. I hope that promotion takes off and actually can get to a point where they're going to pay fighters like you a good wage. Do you know what I mean? And there's no sort of, you don't have to go off the BKB. But that's crazy. You had to buy your own tickets. You had to sell 20 tickets and you bought it.
No, I just did. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I'm not a big ticket seller. Not many people want to come and watch me. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
well, man, I'll tell you what. Listen, I hope you get the promotion you deserve, because, as I say, the fights are really once again, I'm sort of getting the feeling from you don't really value your fights. At the end of the day, you're going in there and you're fighting another bloke. That's worth something, and the bonus to that is they're actually really good fights. This past couple of days have been watching your fights, and they've been brilliant. They're really entertaining to watch. I've been actually watching those fights over the UFC or the UFC and MMA fights, because I thought to myself, these are way more entertaining to watch. So what we'll do now is, right, your last fight was the COVID. Was that the COVID?
I don't fight for Spartan now. I'm in the BFBA. I do fight in a ring now. I don't fight for Spartan. I left that last year.
Oh, so your record's actually in BKB then?
Yeah, it's BKB is both, isn't it? Obviously, BKB is obviously bare knuckle. So obviously the pit is BKB, bare knuckle boxing, obviously. But that's what I've classed it as. And then BFBA is BKB as well.
Right. But so all in all, what are you? Did you say you were 6-0, 6-1?
All right, and 4-1 in the pit.
Right.
And then I lost my first ever one in the ring. But the lad I lost to in the ring, I beat in the pit, which is the fight you watched at Manchester. The lad, that big lad.
Wow. And what was the ring size?
Oh, don't know, massive compared to that in the May bales. When I got in there, it felt like I was in a warehouse. You know, when I was in the ring, because I've never, like I say, I don't spar, I don't go to a gym, so that was my first time being inside the ring. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's it. You have to think about that. You're good at fighting. You're good at maybe being aggressive in that small setting, but in the bigger setting, maybe it's an 18-foot ring, maybe 18-foot ring. He can move. He can avoid your sort of your traps, your punches and stuff. So maybe that's how he was able to win that fight. Yeah. So take us through, what's the promotion? So you've got a contract for BKB?
No, it's BFBA.
BFBA, right? So take us through that. Your first fight for that.
Well, before I lost my last fight on Spartan, about 2-3 weeks before that I had that fight, I actually messaged the promoter for BFBA and I wanted to switch over. I mean, I love Spartan, don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with the company. I hope it does well. But like, it was getting frowned upon a bit too much. Like, I was selling tickets to people, £50 a ticket, and then they were coming to stand in a field or stand in a car park, as you've seen yourself. I mean, I don't mind. I would pay £50 or whatever to go and watch somebody else. But it's just the people that I were trying to sell tickets to, or people that were coming to watch. It's not good for them. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was just getting frowned upon too much, and frowned upon, and then basically anyone that's seen your profile on Facebook, oh, does he fight for Spartan? Oh yeah, blah blah blah, unprofessional, blah, all that lot. So anyway, I just ended up not jumping ship, like, but messaging Andrew, and then I said, can I have a debut? You know what I mean, try myself out in ring. I mean, you don't know till you try, do you? So,
well, the promotion you're talking about, that's the British version. There's the because I'm terrible with the bare knuckle boxing promotions, but there's the bare knuckle boxing promotions coming in that Danny Christie's fighting on. You're not fighting on that card.
I'll give you the three main ones. Yeah. You've KFC, which is America, which has just come over here now. BKFC, that's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. Mm-hmm. So they're in America based. They are the top in the world. There is no one above them at all, or no one to match them. And then when you come over to England, you've got BKBTM, which is based in London, O2 Arena. And then you've got BFBA, which is Bare Fist Boxing Association. So that's like your free promotions. BKBTM, BFBA, which is Bare Fist Boxing Association, and then you've got obviously the BKFC, which is Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, and then below them three, you've got all your other ones. Do you know what I'm saying? So they're like your top.
There was a guy saying, I remember speaking to him. I forget who it was.
They're good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll just shout back to the bone. That's another good promotion.
Yeah, but listen, I'll actually want to sort of look into these promotions too, the smaller ones, because they seem to be everywhere. And I would just love to go for the absolute crack of it because it's really good. It's really entertaining to watch. But people say they put the American one on a pedestal, but I watched a few of the British ones, right? The ones that you were talking about there. And they actually seem to be a lot more skillful because you have guys like, okay, fair enough, you have Mike Perry who's a good fighter. You've Danny Christie now having a contract with the BKB. But the English ones actually had a lot more skill to it. It was like they were just solely training for this. They were training just bare knuckle boxing, where a lot of the other ones, their name sort of sold the fight instead of the actual skill. Would that be right?
Yeah. Like you say, we're like BKFC is like, it's like fighting as well as boxing bare knuckle. Like with this BKBTM and a bit of BFBA is a bit fight like scrappy now, like, which is a good thing. But like you say, it's just boxing. Bare knuckle boxing is just the same as boxing without gloves. So to me, boxing's a bit boring. Do you know what I'm saying? It is to me. I don't like it. It's a lot of time wasting. I mean, I'm no one to judge anyone for boxing or anything, but for me, my personal opinion, there's a lot of time wasted in boxing. It's just too slow. It's just tippy tappy, and it's point scoring, isn't it? As you know, or not.
Well, if you look, just for instance, the biggest boxing, I know you could say Muhammad Ali had boxing fights, but if you actually look for sheer numbers, the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight, if you look at the craziness to that fight, they should have fought 8 years prior to that, and the fans were totally let down. And then if you look at the likes of, you can be very defensive in boxing, the gloves sort of can cover you up. But a lot of these guys, and I have one fight that I always have to go back to, and people laugh at me for this, but it's true. It's a really good sort of example. Yeah. Artem Lobov versus Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie Malignaggi, one of the best boxers. He was a volume puncher in boxing, right? You took that man's gloves off and he got beat in a bare knuckle boxing fight against Artem Lobov, arguably one of the worst mixed martial artists ever in the UFC. So for me, that's a true testament. The bare knuckle boxing, the hands, that is a true fight. And it really does separate. I don't mean to say it because, listen, I'm not a fighter, and I don't listen to anybody watching this here. I'm not a fighter, but it really does separate the men from the boys.
Yeah. So definitely is. I mean, like you say, each to their own. Boxing's its own sport. It's a different sport, isn't it? It's like you can compare it, but you can't compare it to boxing and bare knuckle. It's two different sports. So like you say, it's two different mentalities. You have to be two different. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, separates the men from the boys. It separates like the boxers from the BKB fighters. It's two different sports. And obviously, like with the BKBTM, and you say it looks skillful and that, because all they're doing is just being boxers, but without gloves. As how I see it, it's not really fighting. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just jab, hook, stand back, pop, stand back.
But a lot of them boys, though, are fighting the British promotions. I look at them and think to themselves, they could be really dangerous. See if there was a crossover fight, like cross promotion fight.
Yeah,
they're going to open a lot of eyes here, because the British ones who are fighting on the British promotions are going to annihilate the ones who are fighting in the American promotions, because the American ones, as I say, it's all about the promotion, and rightly so. Listen, you have to put bums in seats at the end of the day, but it's all about the promotion. And you have guys coming in, like you had a guy thinking he fought in the American promotion, that he was just solely jiu-jitsu, and he just went in because he was a big name. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, well, he doesn't have the hands. Do you know what I mean? One of these guys from Britain or Ireland are going to go in there with him and absolutely starch him. And I suppose it's good, it's entertaining to watch too, but at the same time, it's like, what's better to watch a skillful fighter bare knuckle boxing? Like, it's not even bare knuckle boxing, it's fighting at the end of the day. It's a true sort of, you literally are separating the men from the boys. I know people, there's arguments there saying, sure, MMA, you're like, ground game and stuff, but yeah, that's true too. Maybe you should just have MMA with no gloves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's if somebody started a promotion MMA with no gloves, it would probably take off. So you've got an upcoming fight let's talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So who are you fighting, and how's the training going, and how do you think that will end up?
A lad called Lewis Dakin, not far from where I live. I mean, he's always followed me. I've always seen him like my stuff and, you know, like comment and stuff. Like, I know he's present, basically. Don't know him much as a person. Nice lad. I've seen his interview, though, with the Fuse UK. Shout out to Fuse UK, by the way. Seen his interview on there. It seems a very nice fella. He looks like a bit like Charlie Bronson. But yeah, a very nice fella. Do you know what I mean? He's trained all his life. He's lived in gym. I mean, he's not much of a fighter. I mean, he's done K1 and whatever, Muay Thai and you know what I mean? So he's got the fighter in him, but he's just trying his trying it for, this is a his debut for BKB. So yeah, and I'm fighting at a lot heavier weight than I normally fight. I'm fighting at 75 kg, which I don't normally fight.
What's that in pounds? Because I'm stupid. That's 100 and is that 170 pounds, or is it?
Not a clue. I don't even do it in kg. Me, I do it in stone. I work in stone. Me.
What stone's that then?
12. Is it 11 to 12? 12 to 13, I think.
And what height are you?
I don't know. I'm now. I need to lose a lot of kilograms. I'm 12'11" at the minute, so I need to get to 75 kg. So I think I'm about 81, 82 kg now. So I need to lose 6-7 kg.
And what height? What's your height?
5'9" I am.
5'9", and has he got a bigger reach?
I don't know his height, his reach, or anything.
You're just going in just for the scrap, just to get in there.
No, I'll get to know it when I asked for it because when he matched me up with this kid, he was like saying, "Do you want to fight this lad 75 kg?" I just said, "Yeah." He said, "Right, I'll get you his record," and I said, "I've even got messages to prove it." I said, "I don't care about his record." I said, "I don't want to know his record. Just sign me up, basically." So that really, before I got to know all the details, I just put a big stop to it. You know what I'm saying, just saying, "Yeah, match me up. I don't want to know anything." So
and I think that's like a promoter's dream, because at the end of the day, it's just like, listen, I'm just here to fight. Sign me up. I don't care about this guy's record. I'm just going to go in to win and die trying. Does it ever worry you that you could potentially get severely hurt in these fights?
If I think about it, yeah, but no, it's never crossed my mind, if I'm honest.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, maybe it's different. Boxing's a bit different now because there's a lot more deaths in boxing because of, you know, they've got the 10 count to have. You know, I don't know, maybe you can touch on this a bit and put this to sort of bed a little bit. But there's the whole saying, they're saying bare knuckle boxing's more brutal than boxing with the gloves on. I actually disagree with that, because the boxing itself, you've got your hands protected. You can follow through in a punch. Whenever you're in the fight in bare knuckle boxing, do you always go full welt into a punch, knowing that your hand could break, or do you sort of reduce the power going into a punch, knowing that your hand could break?
Well, I hope I speak for every BKB fighter out there, but you don't think twice about your hands breaking. So yeah, you'd go in at full force. That's the last thing that you'd even think about is your hand breaking. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're not going to punch full force, then it won't be worth throwing your punch at all. But yeah, it's a lot more raw. That's why they say it's more brutal. It's because it's obviously when you're punching bare knuckle, the idea is to get your knuckles in. Obviously, get your knuckles to gash people's eyes and stuff like that. And obviously that you cut more, it looks more brutal because obviously you ain't got no padding. And like they say, BKB is a lot safer than boxing, which I believe it is, because obviously you get injured, you see if the fight stops, you know what I mean, you get a cut or whatever, and it's just stopped straight away and you're getting checked out. With boxing, you're getting punched in the face, punched in the head, and like it's like what happens in it, you get concussion, and it doesn't just happen there and then, it happens overnight or a week later, and it's invisible. You don't know it's there because it's obviously concussion in it. So with BKB, everything's like more raw. So if you get hit in the head, you're going to get cut rather than concussion. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do think it's a lot safer. It's a lot more raw, which that's the reason why I like the sport.
It's like, what would you rather be? Sliced with a knife, okay, it hurts, or being hit with a sledgehammer? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's going to cause more damage in the long run? Because you see the boxing guys, you know, there's like 13 to 14 deaths a year in boxing. I don't believe there's any deaths in bare knuckle boxing. Well, the the big promotions, the sort of legalized promotions. And I don't think there's any deaths in MMA. So the statistics speak for itself. Boxing is more dangerous because the volume of punches, you don't see the damage done. The damage is more internal rather than external. And in bare knuckle boxing, you're getting cut up. It's like being sliced. The exterior of your face is being sliced to bits, but it's actually maybe better for your brain. Something to think about. There's somebody, you know, as I say, these bare knuckle boxing promotions are coming out left, right, and center. It's really entertaining to watch. I think one day it's going to take over MMA. It's going to take over UFC, maybe in the next 10 years. I really hope it does, because at the end of the day, I think people are getting a wee bit bored of MMA, and I really hope it takes off. So did we talk about how do you think the fight's going to go then? How do you think this fight's going to end up?
Well, I'm hoping to do a lot better than I've always done. I mean, like every time I do have a fight, my own goal is just to be better than I was last time. It's not to be better than anybody else. My own goal is to be better than I was my last fight. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather, I mean, I've said this before, I would rather lose a good long 3-round fights knowing that I've looked good and done well than to get in there and spark him on first shot and win. And I know it sounds daft and it might sound stupid, but that's my reason. I'd rather have a 3-round war, blood and spitting teeth and everything, and then probably lose, say, but it's a good fight, than to go in there and knock him out first shot and everyone's like, yeah, boy, oh, well done. No, it's boring. It's not, you know what I'm saying? I've done that before. Andrew Shields, first, I think, 4 seconds. As soon as the referee went like that, within 4, you can't get to 4 or 5 seconds anyway. And then I just got over and right him, and he just falls to the floor like a deck chair.
Well, I'm picking out things through here, the podcast, and I have to say this, right? You say that you didn't really think about fighting throughout your whole life until sort of later on. Well, you did the kickboxing and stuff, but then you've just said there that you would rather have the 3-round war and have that and sort of entertain the public than get a highlight reel knockout first 10 seconds. And that's good. But that sort of goes against what you've said. You must have had something in you. Like every guy likes to have every guy thinks they can win a fight. Not everybody can, though. Not everybody can fight.
Yeah.
But you must have had that deep desire in you to fight, to have that, to say that I would rather go through a war, because I'm saying to you right now, if I'm going to have a fight with somebody, I would rather spark them out in 10 seconds so I don't have to fight with them anymore, just in case they spark me out. But with you, it's not about that. So your psychology is, I want to have this war. Do you know what I mean? So do you think something clicked in you later on in life? Maybe, I'm just going to be honest, maybe it's a bit of ego. I want to prove who I am. I want to prove how tough I can be.
It's not that, right? It's like, I mean, what you're saying is correct. When you're saying then about you saying you're having a fight, you'd rather hit him, but there's no one sat watching you. There's no one just bought tickets to come and watch you. When you've just been on about that, I'm doing it for the people. Do you know what I mean? I want to make it worth their while rather than my own. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm in there to do it, so I'd rather make it worthwhile. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm in there no matter what. So whether I make that fight long or quick, it's all for the crowd and the entertainment. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just make the fans happy by watching a good fight rather than. I mean, I've watched them before. Fights go over in seconds and it's boring. Yeah, well done to win, a fair play. And it's just boring, or someone drops quite easily and you think, get up, and they don't get up. And you're like, it's over within seconds.
So if you spark somebody out, you're actually thinking to yourself, get up, I want this fight to go on.
Yeah, I'll send you a video, put it on this thingy. This had a big build up to the fight. He was an unknown fighter, so I didn't know who it was. He'd never been known, so. And then he was like mouthing off at me. So, like I say, as soon as the ref went like that, I think you count to 4 seconds, and I just overran right him, and he just flops to the floor. And I'm seeing me on video going, get up, shouting at him. I mean, at the time, I must have meant it, but like as soon as it had happened, I was like, fucking hell, I mean, sorry for shouting. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, it looked a bit ragged, do you know what I mean? But yeah, obviously, it's spare at the moment. I was going, get up. It's on YouTube, so Tony Meehan.
I think for yourself, Tony, there's something maybe you can't even explain yourself why you do this. Yeah, exactly. It's just unexplainable. There's this thing that's maybe clicked in you. You're doing it for the people, and that is the original sort of people's champ. So what do I mean by that is people can call themselves the people's champ when they're making millions. But that's not what the people's champ is. That's just a gimmick. But the real people's champ is somebody that goes out there that doesn't get paid, wants to have a war with somebody to entertain the public. That's what that is.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's absolutely, it's, listen, fair play to you. I'll be watching all your fights. As I say, guys, the link for Tony's channel is in the comment section of this video. Please go over and subscribe to his channel and follow the guy's career, because you will not be disappointed. Question: what is your aspirations for the future? Where do you see yourself in the next 6 years?
That's about as clear as how I got into it in first place. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'll climb as high as I can. I've got no goal. I have, but I haven't. I ain't got a set goal. Like I don't. It's like I know what I want, but I don't know what I want, and I know that don't make sense. But basically, I'm doing what I'm doing. I just want to be the best I can and just get as far as I can, and basically, and just do well more than anything. Do you know what I mean? Do well in what I'm doing rather than, like, you know what I mean, slithering my way through and to top or whatever or however. I just want to be happy on what I'm doing, make sure it's keeping me out of trouble, and just be happy with what I'm doing. And as long as everyone else is happy, you know what I'm saying, it'll keep me in the game. So,
well, listen, man, I wish you nothing but the best for your career. I hope you win all your fights. I think you are the original people's champ. I think that like guys like you, Jonathan Ronan Royale, you are different. You are a different species of human. You just love to have that fight. That is the end of the podcast, I think. Actually, well, hold on. What date is your fight, and can you sort of tell people how they can watch that?
Yes, if to watch it on pay-per-view, it'd be on BFBA, Barefist Boxing Association.co.uk. Obviously, I'll give you a link as well, so you can put it in the comments below. If anyone wants to buy tickets, obviously you see any fighter or message me directly on any of my platforms, which is Team Me and BKB on all platforms, every single platform. I mean, YouTube is the least platform I do use. I've had it 12 years, but it was from a gaming years ago. I've deleted all the videos now, but I've only just yesterday reached 1,000 subscribers, and I've had my profile 12 years. But I don't really use it. I do now and again, but I am going to start using it properly. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this I do use a Facebook and Instagram and all that, TikTok and all that, but this YouTube is what I use less, but I'm going to start using it more.
Well, I'll put all your social medias in the comment section of this video, and as I say, Tony's just talked about how you can get tickets and watch the fights. Please, guys, I would suggest you tune in. I will be tuning in. I will be paying for it. Listen, let's show respect and do that. But that is the end of the podcast. Is there anything else you would like to talk about, Tony?
Not really, apart from after my fight in July, tune into 3D Fight Club, follow them, all their pages. I'll be fighting 19 days after my fight in July. So 19 days after that, win, lose or draw, I'm going straight in for another one.
So you're fighting on 3D Fight Club?
Yes.
19 days after that fight? Wow. Yeah. Wow. So that's going to be a big one. Who's your opponent for that?
I don't know him personally. I just know he's got the same name as me. Well, and the same initials. Tony McIntosh is called. So from Scotland. So TM versus TM. So there can only be one Tony, and he's sat right here.
Listen, tune in, guys. 3D Fight Club 2. Listen, go and watch that. Buy that. Go there. Watch it. Listen, all promotions have teeth and problems. I know people were giving off about 3D Fight Club at the beginning, but listen, it was the first one. It's still a baby. Sorry, go ahead.
I went to that show, mate, and it was absolutely spot on. I think that a lot of people that slated the promotion didn't even go to the show. You know what I'm saying? They're all just speculating off videos and stuff. I went to that show, and for their very first show, it was as professional as anyone could imagine. Trust me, the setup, it was better than a lot of promotions I've been on already. That's been going 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely brilliant. And the fact that you've took that fight 19 days after, like, you don't know what state you're going to be in. You don't know if you're going to be cut up, but fuck it, you're going to go in anyway. If that fight, if you're cut up, regardless of what weight, what shape you're in, are you still fighting?
Yeah, as long as I'm physically able to move. I mean, I'll tell you after this in private about the injury, but even if I've got injuries, I'd still fight. I mean, obviously, we have certain injuries. If you've got pulled back, you know what I mean, certain injuries that you can't fight, then I mean, I fought with broken ribs loads of times. When I first ever got my ribs broken, they've never healed. They're never healed properly. So you just fight with broken ribs basically. So I've just learned to live with it.
That's absolutely that's crazy. The thought of that, like that's brilliant. But listen, I can't wait to watch both of them, and that's what I'm saying. You're going in, you're fighting 2 fights in a very short space of time. I can't wait to watch it. As I say, guys, all the links for Tony's socials, his YouTube channel, his fights, you can find that all in the comment section of this video. Go over and follow him on all them social medias and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Guys, that is the end of the podcast. Tony, you're an absolute gentleman for coming on, and I hope we get a part 2. Listen, definitely. After both your fights, I would love to get you on to get your reaction after the fights. And listen, as I say, you're a gentleman. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Peace.